Our top story here at 6, Oregon hitting nearly 1.8 million acres burned by wildfires. That is according to the Oregon Department of Forestry. Now, if you need some context, that is roughly 19 times the size of the city of Portland. It is shaping up to be one of the worst seasons on record, and it's not even August. Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Malko. And yet another fire, the Grasshopper Fire in Wasco County, is now ballooned. Let's show you a map showing the evacuation zone southeast of Mount Hood with more than 2,000 people under level 3 go now evacuation notices. The fire was just 4,500 acres on Sunday. It's now closing in on some 20,000.
Our John Adams is taking a look at how ground crews across the state are getting help from a specialized Air Force team from Colorado. John.
That's exactly right. I spoke with the Air Force mission commander responsible for coordinating 2 C-130 Hercules that are in Oregon right now, helping to contain Oregon's wildfires. This video, taken high above rural Oregon, follows the flight of an Air Force C-130 heading towards skies blackened by wildfire smoke.
If you see a 2 and 5 fly over, that's us.
The view from inside the cockpit shows what the pilot sees as they prepare to dump flame retardant on one of Oregon's wildfires. Major Kai Tran is the mission commander for a team stationed at the Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado Springs.
My job is to make sure that everybody is in the loop on whatever the operation needs.
Since early July, the team, along with 2 C-130 Hercules aircraft, have been temporarily flying out of Klamath Falls, helping in Oregon's firefighting efforts. Each plane has 6 crew members, including 2 pilots.
Well, we drop the retardant right next to dozer lines or really just ditches to help stop the fire from spreading further.
Major Tran says they've made about 75 drops thus far on fires burning all over the state.
Dropping almost 200,000 gallons of retardant.
It takes the C-130s about 15 minutes to reload flame retardant before they are up in the skies again, making multiple drops a day wherever they are needed. Major Tran tells us it's a rewarding mission for him and his team.
It's something that we love doing, protecting the community, protecting the people, and making sure that we safeguard people's livelihood.
And the major says there's no time frame on how long they might be here in Oregon. They're going to stay around as long as they're needed.
They are doing such important work. Thank you so much, John.
Let's bring in meteorologist Joe Ranieri now. Joe, not even August, and we have all been talking not much relief in the forecast.
Fire threat is going to continue through parts of the Columbia River Gorge going into this weekend with a fire weather watch in place. Low relative humidity, bone dry throughout much of the east side of the state, and a lot of winds. And you guys talked about the numbers a couple of minutes ago, 1.8 million acres. Well, the record for wildfires in Oregon is 1.9 million. That was in 2024. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit that here in the next couple of weeks, if not less than that, maybe in a few days with the fire threat along the east side of the state. As we go into the Columbia River Gorge right now, this is a live look from our Oregon Veterans Home Camera. Temperature of 86, still kind of hazy out there. We're picking up some of that smoke and haze a little bit as we look from our live cameras. You can just see from our Timberline Lodge camera facing south. But the air quality in the metro area isn't going to be taking a hit the next couple of days. In fact, most of the state is still in the good category, little to no risk. But even through parts of central Oregon, there's some yellows and greens. But Madras, you're in the unhealthy category. And the more east you go, that's where it gets really bad. Now I want to bring in the smoke forecast. This is going to be very dense over the next couple of days. It doesn't push out over the next several days or so. What you need to really improve conditions is the rain. And that's the one thing we're not going to be getting really across the Pacific Northwest over the next few days as we head in the early part of August. I'll talk more about your August forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's that time of year, middle of summer. Thanks, Joe.
In your headlines, a Legacy Go Health clinic in Gresham is reporting its second measles exposure in just the last week. The Oregon Health Authority says someone with measles was at Legacy Go Health Urgent Care on Southeast Powell Valley Road. That was Sunday afternoon between 3:05 and 7:09. Now, if you think you may have been exposed, you should reach out to your doctor as soon as possible.
To an extreme case of road rage shared by Beaverton police. This dash cam video recorded on 2 cameras on the victim's vehicle appears to show another driver cutting him off multiple times, driving the wrong way, and even chasing him in reverse. Take a look.
You have to do a U-turn?
Yeah, I have to make a U-turn because he's blocking the road.
That's the least of it. Police say this was Sunday morning in South Beaverton. The victim, with his wife in the passenger seat, was on the phone with 911, authorities say, and the clip provided by police does not show exactly what sparked the whole chase. Investigators say the suspect drove in reverse at 1.4 a mile as the victims headed for the police department. That's where officers arrested 29-year-old Armin Hastings for reckless driving and menacing. They say they found an airsoft gun in his pocket. He's due in court tomorrow.
And we learned today Daimler Trucks plans to close its North Portland manufacturing plant by the end of the year. This will impact about 375 people who all work at the Swan Island facility. Daimler says they're transitioning manufacturing operations to the Carolinas, and some of the workers will be offered other roles in the company. Daimler says it'll still keep its North American headquarters in Portland. Also, a former Washington mayor and state patrol officer was in court today, facing charges related to theft and destroying public records while in office. Will Finn and his wife Heather allegedly used her boss's debit card to pay for $10,000 in personal expenses. That included a trip to Mexico. At the same time, records show Will was being investigated for destruction of public records while he was mayor of Woodland, in part by wiping his city work phone. The couple is due back in court in 2 weeks.
To the future of Moda, with Portland City Council set to meet tomorrow to discuss the city's opening offer. Still have it right here, all 14 pages. And this just in, we now know Blazers representatives, though it is not clear who will be there.
Though notable here, since city negotiators say they're waiting for more details from the team on exactly what $573 million in reno money from the city and county and state would actually go toward. Our Evan Watson is back on this for us. And Evan, we have some sense, right, of what the team wants to do here?
We do, yeah. And earlier this year, the team pitched state lawmakers on what they would like to see in a Moda Center renovation. I went back to those public records to find answers, looking at what the Blazers want to include in a Moda Center upgrade. The Blazers have a plan for a renovated Moda Center. At least, they did in January, when the team sent these documents to lawmakers. The high-level vision starts with the basic infrastructure. The Blazers highlighted technology, HVAC, and restroom replacements, changes for concerts and touring artists, locker room renovations, and fire, security, plumbing, and other structural repairs and updates. Then, the more fun stuff for fans. Changes to concession stands and new concourses, better ways to get in and out of the arena, seating updates, better lighting, and AV upgrades. The Blazers shared these 3 photos, potential renderings of a reimagined Moda Center. Still, city leaders like Councilor Steve Novick have questions.
What renovations are necessary just to keep the Moda Center in its current condition? What renovations are necessary to keep musical acts like Bruce Springsteen coming? And what renovations are just for the Blazers?
The city-owned Moda Center will need investment to stay operating. A 2024 facility condition assessment found the building is showing signs of aging in several areas.
It is our property, so it is our responsibility to keep that building up.
Analysts documented various issues and estimated it would take more than $200 million to make bare-bone repairs and extend the arena's life cycle. So where did the plan for a $573 million renovation and upgrade come from? The short answer, the Blazers. The team wrote to public officials, "We have utilized the best firms in the nation to understand what types of renovations Moda Center needs and what types of spaces a market like Portland can sustain. As such, we are confident that the $600 million figure is an accurate representation of the costs of needed renovations for Moda Center." Still, the team hasn't shared new renderings in months, and the public is unsure how much of a potential investment would go to necessary repairs, benefits for fans, or revenue-generating upgrades for the team.
Evan, there are must-have upgrades, things like plumbing and fire safety, and then there are some, as you mentioned, what are called nice-to-have changes, depending on what your perspective is. What do we know about those?
Yeah, an example would be luxury suites for one example of that. In these public documents, the team pitched those as ways to improve financial sustainability, those event spaces and the boxes you might find at the arena. Public officials, of course, will definitely want to know how many of those types of upgrades are in this larger pool as compared to other things that need to happen to keep this arena operating.
Of course, and before we let you go, remind us what exactly is happening tomorrow.
City Council has a public work session tomorrow, and as you mentioned off the top, the Blazers representatives will be there. We'll find out who that is and what they'll say about it as well. The Blazers confirmed to me that they're going to address maybe some questions tomorrow, and then the city has that August 12th deadline for a term sheet in order to keep negotiations on track.
Yeah, and of course, we'll be keeping tabs on that meeting for you. Appreciate your reporting on this, Evan.
You got it.